Hello, everybody. Well, I had something completely and totally crazy happen to me, and I wanted to make a video about it to see what other people thought. Like, it was crazy. Okay, so I ended up at this dollar store that like I don't normally go to. It's way out of the way because like I was selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes whenever you do that, you got to go meet up with people, and so I ended up supposed to meet this guy at the Dollar General, like halfway in between where he lives and where I live. I had passed by this Dollar General before, but like I've never been to it. Okay, so a bunch of stuff happened, slowed me down and everything. And when I get there and I'm pulling in the parking lot, there's this little old man walking across the parking lot with a cane, and he looks like he's having like a hard time walking. And I felt really bad for him, but I didn't really think a whole lot of it at first. And so I run in the dollar store, get a couple of things that I needed anyway while I was waiting on the guy, and then I come back out, sit down in my car, and I'm sitting there for a little while, and I look over, and that little old man's still sitting there. And I'm like, why is he still sitting there? And so I was like, okay, well, and anyway, so then the guy I was supposed to meet pulled up, and then, he ended up leaving. And then, so, I noticed that guy was still sitting there, and, like, he wasn't doing anything. So I was like, I hope everything's okay. So I just walk up to his truck, and I'm like, hey, excuse me, sir. I don't mean to bother you. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. Like, I didn't know if he might have had some kind of trouble getting his truck started. Because, he'd been sitting there for a while. Like 30 minutes. And I was like, is everything okay? So anyway, he's like, oh, no, it's fine. And, anyway, we get to talking, and he asked me if I know Jesus Christ, and I'm like, yes, I do. I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And anyway, so we get to talking and stuff, and he seems like a really good Christian guy. But he had Parkinson's disease, and he was about to have hip surgery. So, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm supposed to help him, or something. Maybe God led me to him for a reason, and I'm supposed to help him in some way or something. But anyway, we get to talking, and he ends up like telling me that like he would be able to get me a job where he used to work, making a whole lot better money than what I'm making now. And so I'm like, this has got to be an answered prayer. Like, for real, because I need a better job. And, like, I just happened to meet this guy who, knows God. And like, with me starting this whole thing with the ministry and all, like, he told me that he had a couple cousins that were ministers, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, this has got to be like an answered prayer. And then I'm like, okay, so I leave. Well, then a little later, he just keeps calling me. And then he wants to just up and bring me some food from McDonald's, like, just to be nice, and I was like, oh, okay. I felt really bad for him because, like, he had Parkinson's disease, and I had a pastor one time that had that, and I know what that's like, and it's a terrible, terrible thing. And so I felt really bad for him. And well, anyway, so then he goes to McDonald's. I'm talking to him on the phone while he's there, so I know he's actually ordering food for us from McDonald's. Well, then he says his GPS is messing up and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, all right. So he wants me to come meet him. So I find him at a gas station, and then he starts following me back to my house. Right before we get almost to the road that I live on, all of a sudden like I had to turn, and like when I turned, then like I looked in the rearview mirror and I stopped because I was waiting on him, and then all of a sudden it looked like he was turning around and going back the other way. And so I tried to call him. Finally, I got a hold of him on the phone, and all of a sudden, it was like he got possessed by a demon. I mean, for real. Because he went from like wanting to talk about God and wanted me to pray with him over the phone and stuff and all this, to he just starts cussing me out of nowhere. And like I never said or did one thing to be. I don't even know what happened. Like all of a sudden he just starts talking out of his head, talking about I had somebody try to run him off the road or something, and I'm like, no, I didn't do anything, and like he just keeps cussing and cussing and cussing and cussing at me. I'm like, what happened to this guy? And I mean, I don't know. It felt like an answered prayer, and then all of a sudden it was like I was talking to a demon. And I mean, he was telling me I was worthless, I was a sorry piece of crap, and I'm like, what? Where does this even come from? So all I know is sometimes with Parkinson's disease, I know that it can sometimes come with dementia. And I don't know if that's what happened or what. But yeah, that was crazy. Absolutely crazy. And anyway, I thought somebody might find it interesting. And thanks for watching. I love y'all.